Good afternoon, learners. Namaskar. Welcome to this first live session for the course on consumer psychology. Now, what these live sessions are meant for, they are a way to interact with my learners, and this provide an opportunity to all those people who have enrolled in this online MOOCs course to ask questions, suggest feedback, and through an interactive one-to-one process, build on their learning. So this is the reason why we have these online sessions. There are 2 online sessions that we have in this course of consumer psychology. Now, I'm live right now, and I guess it is the 2nd or 3rd week of your learning. So you would be in the middle of alternate evaluation section of consumer psychology. And by now, I believe you would have understood through the course lectures and by reading the text which are given to you, the basic of consumer psychology, which would include how to define what a consumer is, what is the role of a consumer. And not only that, but also to understand several other principles like market segmentation, like branding, and other factors which are involved in the study of consumer psychology. Beside that, by the end of the section 1, you would have also got an opportunity to learn how to do research in the area of consumer sciences. The second section would have shown you ways in which you can understand how consumers search for information. And there I would have talked about internal and external search and various other search processes which consumers undertake for finding information about products and services available to them. And if I'm right, the third section is what you are going through presently, is alternate evaluation. And what will be discussed in this section is we'll be looking at how consumers make decisions and choose between competing products. When I say competing products, it means that most of the products provide you equal or nearly equal benefits. And since they provide you equal or near equal benefits, they are comparable, not equal, but comparable. So how do consumers make this choice of buying one product and not the other? This is what the third section would be covering. As you move along, you will start understanding something called post-purchase behavior, which is something that the consumer does after he has consumed a product. Post-purchase behavior is interesting and important because it decides whether a consumer will stick to a product or whether he'll change. This is the end of section 1 of your course, and the second section will follow, in which we look at some basic cognitive phenomena like memory, perception, attention, and things like this, or other variables of human behavior like personality, like attitude change, like attitude, and other factors, to name a few. And we'll see how these factors influence the decision made by consumers to purchase a product or to change his decision in terms of moving from one product to the other. So this is a very brief introduction to what this course has. Now what I'll do is I welcome you all here to ask questions. You can come online through 3 mediums. You can write your questions on the YouTube feed that is running live. You can ask a question directly onto this team platform that we are connected with right now, or you can post a question onto the online live Excel sheet. Beside this, there is a forum where you can always ask your questions at your will, and these questions will be addressed. So let me start by taking questions from the YouTube feed. And if I have questions on this team feed as well, I'll start answering them. In between, we'll be discussing things. I'll be addressing your questions. And with whatever knowledge I have about this subject, I'll try to satisfy your query about the question. And I believe that it will help you in some ways. So let's start taking questions from the YouTube feed, and then we'll move to the online Excel questionnaire, which is floated onto you. So we have a number of questions on this, rather I would say welcome messages on this YouTube feed. So Love Sinha is here. So good morning, good afternoon. And then mostly good afternoon messages. So thank you all, and very good afternoon to all of you. And I have Love Sinha who asks a question. And the question is that why some of the questions from assignment appears to be unknown. Means some question seems like we haven't discussed it yet in session. Assignment questions, some of these questions will come directly from what is being taught to you in the video lecture. And some questions in the assignment are posed in such a way that they are not directly discussed in the lectures, but they can be answered with the knowledge that you have gained through these lectures. You can also refer to textbook or books that has been suggested in the course, and that will give you some idea about what the question is asking. I can convince you and promise you that the questions that have been asked in assignment come under the chapter or section where the assignment has been posed, under which section it has been posed, right? So it may seem that it is unknown, but believe me, the question comes from that very section, all you need to do is do a little bit of thinking and you'll be able to answer the question. If it may be possible that there are certain questions which by some mistake would have appeared in a section where it should not have. And if it is like that, do send me an email or post on the forum with these questions. I'll personally go through these questions and then I'll put an answer or give you a solution to how this answer has to be addressed. So Sashi, hello and good afternoon. Padmakar, good afternoon. Listen Poetry, whoever you are, good afternoon to you as well. So I'm happy that a lot of people have joined us, and so joining itself is good, but I'll ask you to post your questions, feedback, suggestions, or any other comments that you have about the course. So if you are here with us and connected through either one of these mediums, please go ahead and ask your questions. So right now I don't have a question which...
Sir, can I, sir?
Yeah, sure,
Hello?
sure. Please go ahead.
Sir, this is Silavarsi from Tamil Nadu.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Sir, actually, we are speaking consumer psychology. In normal case, consumer psychology, we are studying about all the human beings. Particularly, if you are taking this topic into women's, for example, how the psychology would be, their purchasing behavior. In case of female, what may be their psychology while they are doing the purchasing behavior, while they are doing their purchase?
Okay, so if I understand it correctly, you would like to understand why women behave differently than men in terms of their purchase practices.
No, sir. That is not at all my question. My question is, so in normal terms, human being psychology is common while we are doing the purchase of anything. When compared to that, how the woman's purchasing behavior may be. I'm not asking the differentiation. So what may be the content, how their purchasing behavior will be?
As a rational person or as a woman, how it will be different?
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so what would happen here is there will be a section on personalities that I'll cover at the end of this course. Now, to very quickly answer your question, both the male and female gender, they have different personalities, right?
Yes.
It comes because of their training, it comes because of the way they live and the social environment around them. And because of that, they change their way of purchasing. One example that comes to my mind is, if you look at men, they are more mechanistic buying, because the job of shopping or the act of shopping is not enjoyable to them.
Yes.
But if you look at female, since mostly nowadays, I don't know what's happening, but if you look at the typical family structure, the females don't get too much of an opportunity to actually go out, right?
Yes.
And so the opportunity of shopping is a good, I'd say a good point where they can go out and interact with people. So it's more of a pleasure activity for them. And for that very purpose, the shopping pattern would be different than males who actually tend to go out. So some of these factors, although it's not been detailed in this way in the personality section, but I believe that these are some of the factors which we can think about, and we can predict how females have different shopping behaviors, or they shop differently, or why they shop differently than males, right? It could be social factors. It could be the factor in which the personalities differ from where they are coming, I mean, the kind of upbringing that they have, right? And also the thinking. We can also think in terms of thinking. So if you look at a typical female, they are more expressive in terms of words, and
Yes,
males
yes,
are more expressive in terms of actions, right?
yes,
And that basically says that if you appeal to a female, you have to use more flowery language or more comprehensive language.
yes, sir.
But males, it is like save, free. These words would attract them. For female, if you give them free, they will ask the reason why and what purpose it is going. So they're more rational shoppers, right? So
Yes.
these are some of the factors which you can think about, or which can be explored. And these may be the reason, I believe, for the differences that we have in the shopping patterns or the shopping behaviors of males and females.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you. And we have some more questions. Let me take some of the questions from the YouTube live feed. So I have Creative World asking the question, sir, I am still confused between a buyer and a consumer. Can you please clarify my doubt? So see, the difference between a buyer and a consumer is the buyer is the person who makes the purchase, and a consumer is the person who uses that product. Not necessarily a person who uses the product may not be the buyer. Think of children. Now, children wants some toy. The parent buys the toy and he becomes the buyer, but he doesn't play with the toy. The toy is used or consumed by the child, and so he becomes the consumer. So in this case, he is the consumer. But some other goods which the father buys, for example, an aftershave lotion, he buys it and he consumes it, so he becomes the consumer and the buyer both. But in terms of the child, if you look into it, the child doesn't have the money to buy, so he becomes the consumer. But in this case, the buyer is the person, the parent or the big brother, sister, or whosoever buys it for him. So that is the distinction between a buyer and a consumer. I hope I have cleared your doubt, Creative World. Okay, so let me take some more questions from this YouTube live feed. So my question is, so Chinnu asks a question, and the question is that where is the question? Okay, 1 second. Scrolling both ways. Can I have a mouse? So one second. So so my question is, where can we apply this course in terms of internship or jobs? So a mouse is good. I can move it. So the idea is that you can learn this course, and then in internship you can go to different companies or advertising agencies or different agencies which do research on consumers, or who sort of work in the field of consumers, consumer psychology, or in the field of consumer sciences, and they can give you an internship, right? And so now I have another question, and this question is by Anand Parshuram Maheshwari. And so Anand, how understand in pharmacy recognize consumer psychology? So from what I understand, what you are asking me is, how can we understand consumer psychology in terms of pharmacy? So in terms of basically drugs and medicines. So basically how certain medicines are, or how should medicines be marketed. Now, medicines is a life-saving element or life-saving thing. And so for marketing it, you have to build trust. And trust is the most important factor in pharmacy, in medicine, if I'm taking it correct. So what you need to do is you need to build trust, and you would have seen that some medicines, even if they are very expensive, people trust them. So how do you build this trust? For this trust can be built. There are ways of building trust, which we have discussed in the course. And so understanding consumers, or how their buying patterns are, or how they buy products, and what is their interaction with certain products. By studying this, you could use this knowledge in terms of understanding the psychology of consumers in the field of pharmacy. Dr. Rathod has a question. Can UG students opt for this course? Yes, definitely. This course is meant for UG and PG because in our system, in our IIT, this course is offered as a UG course. So definitely it was made with this purpose, that it is a UG course or undergraduate course as well as a postgraduate course. So Nitin Pretty has a question. I have two questions. So first question is regarding research methodology used for segmentation based on behavior, both primary and secondary, and also any statistical tool that can be used given we have database. So research methodology used for segmenting based on behavior, both primary and secondary. Primary behavior, secondary behavior, or primary segment and secondary segment, and statistical tool. So let's start with the statistical tool first. So you want to understand what behavioral methods can be used for market segmentation, right? So market segmentation is basically by understanding consumer preferences. You sort of divide the market into multiple sectors. And so one behavioral method of doing this is you can use surveys or questionnaires to find out different preferences of consumers and to what they cater to. So you can use a survey method, or particularly you can also use an interview method for collecting data. Now both and you can use scales. Different kind of scales are available, and so generally it will be a correlational research in which you study certain consumers. You either take an interview or you do a survey, collect data out of it, and from there find out what consumers prefer, or what consumers from different sections will prefer. Or generically, if you have a larger population, you can go to the population, collect data about certain products. For example, you would have some idea of, let's say I have two products A and B, and I want to segment a particular population in terms of who prefers A and who prefers B. So if that is what it is, what you could do is you can then introduce the product or go to people and ask them their preferences in terms of a survey or in terms of an interview. Take that data, the interview data or the survey data, or you can put up a questionnaire and take the questionnaire, and based on that do a comparison. A simple statistics like a mean, a simple model like a mean will be enough. Mean in standard deviation or variance would be enough to give you an idea of what are the differences or different preferences that people have in terms of a particular product, and based on that you can segment. If you already have a segment and you want to know what is the preference of this segment, that can also be done by a survey method, using a survey or an interview or a questionnaire. So mostly larger populations or large data from population are done by using correlational methods, and some of the correlation method is what I mentioned. So I hope that should answer your question. Then there is another question. Does research methodologies vary industry-wise? Yes, it does. So some industries have a lot of money, and for example, think about Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Now they were here for capturing the market. Nowadays, if you go and ask for a soft drink, there are only 2 competitors which are available. Now, these people, they wanted to be long-term players, and so they came to the market and they waited for a long period of time. And so what they did was, they did not only survey research, they did some experimentation, laboratory-based experimentation, and used a concept called sensory branding into it. And based on that, they found out people's taste preferences. Based on these preferences, they started doing marketing by using the branding in a way that it appealed to people's senses. And now you have only 2 competitors. So if you have a lot of money are lying around and you want to be in this play, what you could do is you can use a more sophisticated and more advanced method of research, like an lab-based experimentation, where you can look at MRIs and EEGs and that kind of a research. But if you are a small company, and if you don't want to invest that much, you can do a survey research, or you can do also interview research. So it does vary upon how much finance do you have for your company. So I hope that answers your question, 19 Pretty. And Nitika has a question. So good afternoon. Good afternoon, Nitika. There's very low volume in the video of the course, which makes it difficult to watch the video without earphones. Kindly do the needful. Thank you, sir. So Nitika, I will talk to the team who's here. Maybe there could be a solution to that. These audios were somehow low in volume, but this is only for a couple of lectures, and I guess I'll have to re-record them for you. So we'll see what can be done. We'll re-record them if possible. If not, then just bear with us for a couple of lectures. Whenever I get the first opportunity, I will re-record the lectures and provide you with a more decent volume levels. Then I have Creative World. Okay, thank you. So thank you. And in general, so Creative World has another question. In general, if you want to get some data online for analysis about consumers, what are the online resources? Is there any government website or something? So if you want to do an online data analysis, depending on what your problem is, there are certain databases which are available. Right? Certain companies have databases which are available, or you could possibly create your own small data survey and put it through certain kind of online resources, like example, Google Forms, collect some data. I'm not sure, but Nielsen, AC Nielsen and companies like that, they provide you data for analysis. But I guess that you are not in any mood to buy that data. So what you could do is a government website. I'm not sure. So let me check if there is a government website which can provide you online data. But the best way to go around doing this would be to create your own small form with certain questions. And these questions will collect the appropriate responses, and based on what responses you are getting and what questions you have and your problem statement, you will have I'd say a very crude idea of what whatever problem that you are investigating. About government website, I will have to have a look, and if I find something, I will probably tell it to you, or I'll post it on the forum for you to check. So I guess that answers your question, Creative World. Now let me take some questions from this online forum that we have. And so the first question is 2 days where the course started. I can't find anything a link to complete my question. So I have mobile number here, Uday Kumar. So Uday Kumar, what I'll do is I'll forward your question to the team which handles assignments and that kind of thing, and they will be reverting back to me and to you as well, and then you will have an answer to your question, because neither I make these assignments nor I make them live. There's a team which works on this, so I'll forward it to them, and whenever they provide an answer, I will get back to you on this. Now I have Dr. Ashish Rami, and Dr. Ashish Rami has a question. What is sensory brand? How sensory branding affects the purchase of products? Okay, I was just telling you about sensory branding. So what happens in sensory branding is, what I tend to do is I attach one of the senses with a particular kind of a product, and based on that, a memory is formed or a emotional response informed to people, a behavioral or emotional response, or a behavioral response in terms of a belief. For example, uh, think about Listerine. Now, the very fact that Listerine tastes like medicine, or the fact that it tastes not good, is believed to be the fact that it is clean. It is cleaning, because most things which cleans are known to uh, not act good, or not taste good rather, or not smell good. A good example is bleaching powder. So if bleaching powder is a good cleaning agent and it doesn't smell good. So if you can have or if you have Listerine which is towards a pungent smell, the very fact that the pungent smell is somehow attached to the idea that it will lead to cleaning, because bleaching, somewhere in your mind a belief system is made that this kind of smell leads to cleaning. Similarly, you have perfumes. Artificial perfumes are created which gives you woody texture, woody odor, and whatnot and what all. And so these perfumes or these products are attached to one of people's senses. Once it is attached to, or it appeals to a particular sense, an idea or a memory is created in people. And then when people think about that particular product or class of products, that particular product which has created this memory comes to mind. This is what is sensory branding from what I understand, and it can actually help in promoting your product. But creating the sensory brand is it's a difficult job. You have to run experimentations, or you have to design a whole research around it. How do you make this appealing? But once done, it can appeal, or it can do wonderful wonders with your product. Then I have Padmakar. So no questions about Padmakar. Rathod. Mr. Rathod, Yuvraj Singh, I guess, Yuvraj Singh. So about consumer psychology. So what is it that you want to know about consumer psychology? In brief, consumer psychology basically looks at consumers, the psychology of consumers. Psychology is basically a science which deals with the behaviors and mental processes of people. So what it does is, consumer psychology studies the mental processes and behavior of people, which happens in response to products, in response to services. So by studying what is the behavior and mental process of people when they are in close contiguity with a product, we can understand ways to adjust behaviors so that the product, so that it becomes more closer to the product, so that it can promote product buying. So that is in very brief what is consumer psychology. Mullik Rathod, and Dr. Mullik Rathod has a question. Can this go opted by use? Yes, definitely answer the questions. And we have Preeti Deepu Das, and so no questions. So okay. Thank you for writing to us. I have other people as well. So if you are one of those people who have questions and want to ask those questions to me, please go ahead. You can ask those questions either through this YouTube channel, or you could ask questions through the online Excel sheet that is there, or you could come online or post questions into this chat. So I have one question, Ramsar. According to EKB model, when are motives important? Motives are important during generally when you're making the decision of buying a product. there the motives are important. Having said that, when you're making a decision about buying a product, it is the point at which you have to make the alternate evaluation, which means that you have your need justified and you have choose between the product. Now, how do you choose between the product? As in, how do you finalize a product? At that point of time, motives are important. Another way or another action of motives could be the psychological variable of motive can be in terms of needs. So certain needs are also put forward in terms of the motive. So your motives decide sometimes your needs also. So in both sections mainly, but motives are generally important when you are doing an evaluation, an alternate evaluation, as in which product should you buy and which product you should not buy. So that is where the psychological variable of motive is important. So I hope that answers your question. Coupling in GS, I guess. Thank you. And if you have any more question, excuse my sometimes incorrect name reading. It could be because of I got the wrong specs today, and so I'm not able to see very clearly with it. So then if you have more questions, please go ahead and put that question here. I'll try and answer those questions for you. So then there is another question by Creative World, and this is I tried collecting data in Google form, but people generally ignore or make the wrong response, affect my analysis. So even see the problem with most Creative World, the problem with most of this say subjective data analysis or non-parametric data or questionnaire based data is you can never be sure of what the consumer is writing. So what you could do is you have to settle with whatever responses they are giving. Of course, there are techniques of improving a form or designing a form and getting the question answers. For example, one quick cheat that you can use is that if you ask a question to a person in a direct way, you can also use a double negative sentence, which is called, it's taken from a scale which is developed long back in psychology, personality psychology, which is called the MMPI. It's called a validity scale, right? And truth and validity scale. And what does it do is, if a question is asked in a positive form, you can use a double negative, or you can use a negative form of the sentence, reframe the question in a different way and put it. Now, if somebody is lying or if somebody is giving a mechanical response, he gets caught in the alternate form question. Also, you will be able to pluck out whether certain subjects are responding the way or in a way that you don't want them to. That is the only thing that you can do. Other than that, you can find motivations for filling up questionnaires. For example, you can give them some credits or give them some kind of motivation to be there, right? Promise them some solution to some of your problem or some other way. And nobody does anything for anyone. So you instead of doing this Google form thing, you can go to the POS of a company if they or a marketplace, or find some other way to collect data. But this is going to happen. What happens is that people why should they fill their form? There has to be some motivation. So think of a way to motivating people to answer your questions. And once you do that, some reason about it, I think they will be answering your question. But that issue is going to be there. But even with government websites that happen. So what happens is government puts up a website saying that whether you like this thing or not, or this particular form or not, people lie onto it. So there is a lot of lying, there is a lot of deception which happens in this case. There are ways of controlling this deception. So some other day, if you ask me a question, post a question, maybe I'll give you an answer of how to control the deception. A student of mine is working on deception, consumer deception. So maybe she has some answers for you in terms of what and how can things be made. So maybe that could be a way. So write me a question, this question as an email, and let me see what can I come up with. So Lokesh Babu has a question. What is the difference between want, desire, and need? Okay. First of all, desire is an advanced form of want. Need is what is essential, and want is a lower form of desire, right? So desire has more connotative meanings, it is more emotional meaning. So I desire that, right? And want is need is for you. If you don't have it, then you're not going to go forward. Want is you if you don't have this thing, a particular thing, things will work, but having that particular thing is going to make your life better. And desire is something that you believe you can that you should have, right? So this is the primary difference. Need is essential, want is something extra, and desire is, I'd say, something above that. That is what my understanding says, the difference between this. Okay, so thank you, Creative World. Maybe put that question and let's see, we'll talk to the student who's working on deceptive strategies in the market and how to control deception strategies. Maybe I'll have an answer for you if you put that question directly to me through an email. And so I have another question here. The title is Comparative Study of Working Women and Homemakers in Consumer Awareness and Behavior in Online Food Delivering Industries, where I get information from topic. Because in consumer awareness and behavior in on topic about this topic, sir. Okay, so Ilavarsi, if I'm pronouncing it correct, what you do is please put this question as an email or post it on the forum. I'll take some time out and I'll do some of my own digging around for research, and I'll post it for you. Those material which will help you. Right now in an online session, at the back of my mind, I don't have a solution. So just post this thing in either as a direct mail to me or post it on the forum, and then I can probably give you a solution. I hope that works. So Logesh Babu, thank you, Logesh. Any other questions if you have? All those people, wonderful people who joined with me. If you have questions, please go ahead, ask your questions, and I'll try to answer your questions with whatever knowledge I have about this field. And if you have feedbacks or suggestions, you are welcome to send those feedback and suggestions. Also, if you are not able to think of a question right now, or wish to ask a question or think of a question at a later point of time when this session has ended, don't worry. There are two other ways to get in touch with me, actually three ways. One, there will be a second session of this live meeting. So you can come there and ask the question. Second, there is an online forum. You can ask a question there. And what I'll do is one of my students who's addressing it, or I myself will answer that question there. Third, you can write the email directly to me. I will address this question and give you a reply. One thing is that I cannot promise a very quick reply. So other works are there. As and when I get time, I will definitely give you a reply, but it may take some time. And I hope that it is justified. There are other works. I have regular teaching here, as well as other things have to be taken care of. But definitely the moment I get some time, I will give you a reply. That is for the email. For the forum, somebody will definitely reply. But if nobody replies from the team that I have, the students that who are working for me, I will definitely look into the matter and reply. Our third is come again in the next session of this online classroom or interaction, and we will talk about the questions that you have. So don't worry if you are not having a question right now, or if you have a question right after this session finishes, you can use any of these medium to get a reply. So Sashi has a question. Any notes PDF for the week to which I can refer to? The best thing to refer to, Sashi, is the video itself. And I understand that Sometimes people get confused with the video. They focus too much onto the English. Understand that I come from a background which is not that English. So I myself learned English at a later period of time. And I believe that language is a medium of exchanging ideas and concepts. So please bear with me that there are notes which are definitely the slides have been converted into a PDF and it should be there. If it's not, then please refer or put that comment onto the forum and we'll put the notes available for you. The best thing would be there is a book which is mentioned or a couple of books which are mentioned. These are very cheap Indian edition books which are available. If you're interested, pick up a book. You may also get them online by paying some amount of money, very few money. Do that and read. You'll have a wonderful experience. But if you don't want to do that, just refer to the slides and the lectures. Bear with me, as I said, use some of your own mind and make understanding from the videos. And I think you will be able to gain at least some knowledge. This is an introductory course, so you will get some knowledge about what is being asked. So I think that should be the strategy. Urvashi, thank you. Jayapriya, good afternoon. Jayapriya, thank you. And Listen Poetry, thank you. So thank you all who have been here with me for this session. So I hope this was a fruitful session for you and you will join me further in the next session of consumer psychology. So with this hope that we meet again soon in the next session and I have more wonderful questions from your side, I will bid farewell to you for this session. So goodbye from the Smoke Studio. Thank you for being with me today here and we'll meet again soon. Thank you and goodbye.